Hi, I'm here with Tony today, and I was really wondering how he works with designers and architects. Tony, let's start by telling me about this shot. What was the? How did you get this job?
Um, I was hired by the builder here. The builder hired me out of the blue. It was a client, someone that I'd never worked with before. And I guess they liked my work enough to trust me with this project. This project was the largest in this company's history, and they were going to include it. They wanted to be nominated for several categories within our regional building awards that we have here on Vancouver Island, Canada's west coast. And so they wanted a lot of shots. This was probably closer to a real estate shoot than a design shoot, given the volume of shots that they were insisting on, given the shot list that they needed for the jury panel. Not that it was a real estate shoot, but for me, given the speed that I was working at, it reminded me of doing a real estate shoot.
So normally when we shoot for real estate agents or architects or designers, normally they have a single, pretty much single use of what our images are going to be used for. But this is with for the builders and for contests and things like that. Was that the reason why there was so many variety of images that they wanted in this house?
They wanted a number of shots for their website, but they also wanted to make a splash at the regional building awards, the annual regional building awards here on Vancouver Island, and they thought that it would be a good fit.
How do you think they found you?
I asked with every new client after the shoot is done, as I'm packing up and we're chit chatting. I asked that question. So I kind of very benignly say, look, Jane, it would be really helpful. I'm so pleased that you picked me for this beautiful, beautiful project. If you don't mind me asking, you could have selected a number of different photographers. For my own knowledge, for my own marketing, could you tell me a little bit about why you chose me for this project? And I think it's really, really important for any photographer, particularly if you're a real estate photographer wanting to transition into interior design, or even if you don't want to transition into interior design, if you want to stay within real estate and just you want to shoot luxury real estate. With every new client, it's important to ask why they chose you, because that gives you some insights as to how to position yourself. So from asking that question, one of the things that I have found that I wouldn't have known, okay, that I use in my marketing now all the time. I've asked that question of several clients, and one of the themes that has come out is clients saying that they like my consistency, that from beginning of the shoot to the end, shoot after shoot after shoot, the photos have the same look and feel. And they appreciate that consistency because it gives them consistency on their website.
Oh,
So
wait.
Wayne, I had no idea that that was one of the deciding factors. And now I use that in my marketing all the time. This particular builder liked the fact that I rely on natural light. She went through my website. The interior designer on this shoot is someone that I've worked with a long time. The builder asked her, give me three names. And the interior designer included my name in the three. So the builder went on to my website and two other competitor website, and she liked the natural light aspect of my look and feel. So that's how she selected me. I've never worked with them before.
Do you know who the other two photographers they were looking at were?
Oh, I wish she would have told me that, but no.
Did you even ask?
No, I didn't. I think that would have been pushing it. So for me, in a situation like that, it was extremely important to ask and to really explore the assessment questions that I usually ask any client, whether they're brand new, especially if they're brand new, but even with a client, with a designer, with a builder that I've a long history with, I'm asking similar questions in terms of what are they looking for? Can they describe their vision in one sentence? What are the design elements? What are the build elements that they are most proud of? What were some of the challenges that they had to encounter? What were the homeowners looking for? And how did that, what kind of challenges or opportunities did that present?
Now, this particular photo shoot, did you go in cold or did you do a walkthrough?
No, I went in cold. My walkthrough was the morning of the shoot. And what made it more challenging is the homeowner did not allow us full days, both days. We only had I think 6 hours both days to capture 35, 40 photos. So it was very, very hectic.
Now,
So,
wait, do you have to stop? Because when you're saying you had 2 days to do 30 photos, normal real estate photographers I can do that in an hour. I can do that in 45 minutes.
yeah,
And
that's true. That's true.
As we step back a little bit, why did it take 2 days or 12 hours to do 36 pictures?
When shooting for builders and designers and architects, cabinet makers, whoever the hiring client or clients are, it's really, really important to take the answers to those assessment questions and try to weave them into your compositions. And so taking some time walking around takes, some photos there are some photos you walk in and you say, like this one here, okay, I have to do a 1 point. That's a no-brainer. So actually making a decision about camera position is relatively easy. There are certain angles that there are issues in the way that the room or the scene is set up, the way the room is staged, finding your camera height, making sure that there aren't any tangents involved, where the line from one element overlaps the line from another element, things like that. Okay.
So, with that in mind, it's just that slowing down to check the flow of the house and the way the rooms connect. We can easily use that with real estate photography, and that will actually make you get through a house faster if you simply know how the room flows by just simply walking around and familiarizing yourself with the situation of the space that you'll be shooting for the next hour.
Absolutely. So I think about you, and one of the things that you have promoted on your in your Facebook group and your YouTube channel, the idea of light farming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of using the placement of where you put your flashes and leaving them there because you have an awareness of the house. Mm-hmm. You have done the walkthrough. You know that you can take not just one shot with these 2 or 3 lights set up, but you can take multiple shots because you've given some thought to the placement of the flash and your camera angles, right?
Right.
And in effect, that saves you time because you're not moving these flashes shot to shot. So yeah, going through these assessment questions are very, very important. So on this photo here, this was a no-brainer. The interior designer said, come hell or high water, I need a shot of this pantry in connection to the rest of the kitchen and the dining room area. So you have to go looking for angles. You want to be able to include features that these are very high ceilings. I think these were 11-foot ceilings and extra storage here on top. So the designer included this sort of ladder bar on both sides of the kitchen where the cabinets are. So this is a design choice that needs to be included. So moving the camera around, making sure, for example, on a tangent, making sure that the outside edge of this pendant doesn't match up with the outside edge of the door frame here, or the wood on the door here. Avoiding those tangents is a really, really big deal, and that takes time. Staging the scene takes time. So when Scott Hargis at the PFRE conference a couple of years ago, in the speakers panel, everybody was asked, what's your best piece of advice? And Scott said, slow the F down.
Yes.
And that applies to real estate. Now, if you're a real estate shooter and you've got, your business model is based on, I've got to shoot 4, 5, 6 houses a day to make my business work, that's going to be a little bit more challenging, right?
Yeah.
But certainly, if you're wanting to transition from real estate to shooting for interior designers and architects, that is going to be almost like a culture shock piece. Because as a real estate photographer, you're so used to moving around and working quickly that, believe it or not, it's going to be a lot harder than you think to slow down. So again, working with designers, working with architects, it's really, really important to show flow. And that there is separation between these two islands. There's a clear path around each of these elements.
Well, also
the dining room, the kitchen.
Also, the dining room table in the foreground, where you just
that's correct. So you have a number of elements that ground your eye. So as you can imagine, with an all black slate of cabinets here, this vertical element that with a contrasting color kind of keeps your eye in the scene.
Okay, so right? This looks very plain, and a lot of designers that I work with, their thing is take out until they will edit out until the picture is right. How many times did they move the utensils on the counter counter by the stove, and did they put those flowers on the other island and off to the side of the sink and things like that?
Yeah, a big chunk of the time. So when you hear design shooters say that on any given day, it takes 30 minutes to an hour to press the button for one photo, this is why. Yes. Making decisions, slowing down, finding a camera angle where you're avoiding tangents, and then doing all the staging, recognizing that, for example, these flowers here, if you were standing in the room with me, the placement of these flowers looked ridiculous. Yeah. Right? Because what is centered to the human eye is never centered to the camera, or is hardly ever centered to the camera. So these flowers had to be pulled towards the camera and off to the right to create the illusion of them being centered to the camera. So this is why, working with a cam ranger is so helpful, because you can see these changes in real time rather than walking to the flowers, making the changes, walking back to your camera to see if you got it right. So here, this photo here was very interesting for me. This is a photo, there's this, I think there's a misconception when shifting from real estate to or making that transition from real estate to shooting for designers and builders, that everything has to be zoomed in. And that's not true. That in architecture photography, in interior design, there has to be photos that shows different spaces connecting to one another. So for example, here, the builder absolutely insisted. So to answer the question, is there a shot that you have to have? She said, yeah, I need this one. Because for the regional building awards, in the category of the kitchen, one of the minimum 5 photos that you need to submit is the kitchen in context with the rest of the space.
Right.
This particular scene, doesn't feel very interior design-ish, but it is, because it shows these were design choices. These were architectural design choices in terms of the materials used, the flooring used, the amount of glass used all around, glass literally on 2 levels. These are all architectural choices.
A lot of real estate photographers would say, with that kind of a view, we would get that we want that 100% window pull. We want the posters on the wall. Look, why did you not go with that look for this particular shot?
Because it's not realistic. We talked about that on our video. I mean, the exteriors have to be brighter than the interiors, unless you're shooting at twilight.
Right.
Here, I think this was kind of late afternoon, and it's still, you need your exteriors brighter, but you want enough detail. So for example, here on this particular day, we see a kind of mist. These are the Olympic mountain ranges of Washington State, and we see some mist at the base here, and we see just enough of them. So we want enough detail that we know that the mountains are there with these ocean views, but we don't want this to look like, a Caribbean poster that's been hung up there on the window frame.
Right. So it's also, so the point that I'm trying to make for the people watching is, one of the other reasons why we don't do 100% window pull on, especially we have large windows like this in large spaces, it keeps us into the subjects that we're being paid for to do. They want, if we did 100% window pull, that would take us out of the room. And, the intent of this picture was to show the interior, the flooring, the cabinets. So we keep, by not going out the windows, by not having our attention go out the windows, we stay within the room.
Yeah. So really understanding your clients, understanding that they wanted multiple shots of the kitchen. And all of that came from the answers to those assessment questions at the beginning of the shoot. So even though there was very, very limited time, going through that process, doing the walk around 20, 25, 30 minutes, jotting down notes, or for me, I was talking into my cell phone about the photos that they had to have, allows me to think through when I'm going to take them based on where the sun is, blah, blah, blah. And I get through a shot list.
So after you've done the shoot, and how long did it take for you to deliver the pictures?
Typically, selection proofs are sent within a few days. Within 2, depending on how busy I am, certainly no more than 3 weeks, usually a week and a half to 2 weeks, I send them the fully edited proofs, and they can tell me if there's certain tweaks that they'd like made. And once they approve those photos, that's when I invoice and I send them both high resolution files as well as resized files that have been resized to the requirements of the jury panel for these regional building awards.
Well, okay, I have my questions answered.
Okay. Well, I hope that was helpful.
It was
this
really
actually,
helpful.
I think, Wayne, we ought to do a series on, it brings to mind this notion of getting to a next level, whatever your next level is, whether it be you're a real estate shooter and you want to take better real estate shots. How do you improve your craft? How do you transition from HDR to blending, flash, and ambient? How do you improve your design photos? How do you get a portfolio that allows you to transition from real estate to interior design? All of these next level things. I mean, we could do videos on a number of different things.
And we will.
And we will. Okay.
I'll put our information at the end of the video. And we also have our Instagram links there. So we invite you to, add us to your Instagram following, and we will be back with our next video soon.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Bye,
and thank you, Wayne.
Uh-huh.